To all of you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Okay.
I am Ayaz Mohammed, Assistant Director, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan. I will be the moderator of today's webinar. The today webinar will be on the analyzing bilateral trade between Pakistan and Turkey. So before going further, I will introduce our guest speakers. Mr. Ahsan Ali Mangi Saab, the Secretary TDAP, will give his opening remarks. Then afterwards, Dr. Israfil Korale, the Senior Vice President, Istanbul Chamber of Commerce. And then after that, Mr. Bilal Khan Pasha Saab, the Consul General, Istanbul, Turkey. After that, Mr. Zubair Haider Sheikh, the Director of Pakistan-Turkey Business Council, FPCCI. And in the last, Mr. Samir Amir Saab will give his brief on the bilateral trade between Pakistan and Turkey. So before going further, I will give some introductory remarks about the webinar. The webinar is about increasing the awareness between of Pakistan and Turkey bilateral trade, the issues that are exporter facing during the process. That will be discussed by Mr. Bilal Saab. Afterwards, there will be an interaction between the interaction of the exporters and importers. Their queries and questions will be answered by all the participants. Ms. Tuna Sakar is our translator. She will translate from English to Turkey and Turkey to English. So moving further, the presentation part will cover almost from 40 to 60 minutes, and the maximum time will be given to question and answers. If any participants have any question, they can simply type in the box given below. I will come to that after the presentation. And furthermore, if anyone by any chance miss any important point, the recording of the webinar will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. All of the participants can access it from the YouTube. Now, formally starting with the webinar, I would like to invite our special guest speaker, Secretary TDAP, Mr. Ahsan Ali Mangi Saab, to give his opening remarks on the webinar. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody, and Assalamu alaikum. I am Ahsan, and I am the Secretary with Trade Development Authority of Pakistan, which is the apex government agency to do trade marketing and trade relations with different countries with Pakistan. So I would like to welcome Dr. Israfil Korale, Senior Vice President, Turkey Chamber of Commerce, and of course our colleague, Mr. Bilal Khan Pasha, the Consul General at Istanbul. Pakistan and Turkey enjoy a special relationship, as we all know, and it has been a historical relationship and it has been proven time and again. It is not only a government-to-government relationship, but it is also about very warm relations that the people of both the countries feel for one another. Turkey has really progressed in last few decades, and Pakistan sees Turkey as an example to follow. Turkey is a very crucial location at the cusp of Europe and Asia, has a special role, and it's kind of a manufacturing house for European Union also these days. Pakistan and Turkey has around $600 million mutual trade, which remains quite, it's nearly balanced. These days, I think there is some trade deficit on Pakistan's side. Turkey has traditionally been very big player in textile. It remains a very big player, while it has moved on into engineering, manufacturing, and technology trade, and also the service sector. And there is a lot to learn from Turkey. As Turkey progresses, the per capita income of Turkey has increased a lot, and its location next to Europe has given a lot of advantage to Turkey also. And this is where I think there are opportunities for both the countries. There is a huge domestic market in Pakistan for Turkey, as Pakistan's population is more than double of Turkey, and then Pakistan is also a crucial location for access to Africa and Middle East as well. Recently, we have been seeing a surge of interest, Turkish interest, in investing in Pakistan for manufacturing for Pakistani market and for other markets in Middle East and Africa. Pakistan offers certain attractions in terms of investment because of per capita labor cost is comparatively lower than Turkey, and then special incentives given by the government of Pakistan in the shape of export promotion zones, exclusive export zones, and special economic zones in Pakistan, which provide for tax-free regime for 10 years and zero-rated imports of machinery. Uh, So we feel that there is a lot of potential for both the countries to work together for mutual benefits. Pakistan and Turkey have been cooperating under different economic blocs as well. Pakistan and Turkey are part of Economic Cooperation Organization also. And then Pakistan and Turkey has worked on together on a mutual trade agreement also, which remains under negotiations for a while. And there have been recently there's been again it was in news about train connections between Pakistan passing through Iran to Turkey. So there has always been a sense that Pakistan and Turkey should come together in commerce and trade as well, starting from 1960s when we had this Regional Cooperation for Development (RCD) and a very famous RCD highway as well. So we feel that this potential remains untapped. There was a lot of engagement during the adversity that Pakistan had during 2005 earthquake, and there was a lot of, many of the Turkish companies and non-government organizations came to Pakistan to help out Pakistan. And now Pakistan is dotted with different housing buildings and office buildings which were gift from Turkey. And then we had a lot of collaboration with Turkish firms in Punjab also in garbage disposal and also transport projects. We understand that Turkey has a huge ingress and presence in the civil construction sector across the world, especially in Middle East and Africa. And then we also have relations with Turkey in terms of the Turkish aid agency, TICA. So we feel that it is time that the countries should get together and try to tap the potential that we have. I think this webinar can play a very good role in that, understanding each other's rules, regulations, where we need to further create facilitations and create an environment where both countries can actually, and countries' relations actually depend on people's relations and business exchanges. So I think during this the recent pandemic has on one side created a lot of difficulties in terms of travel, but on the other side, the electronic connections that have become a reality and everyday thing in our lives has actually created a lot of communication also between very distant partners and otherwise companies and people who would not have actually communicated with one another. So I hope today's engagement is one step ahead, and it will continue later on as well as our commercial council in Istanbul and the Chamber of Commerce in Turkey, and I remember TOP that we worked a lot with in the past also, can actually make it a feature and we can move on from here. So thanks for coming, and I wish you a very, very productive discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now moving further, I would invite Dr. Israfil Korale, Senior Vice President, Istanbul Chamber of Commerce, to give his brief remarks.
Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu. Sayın Başkonsolos, iş dünyasının kıymetli temsilcileri, hanımefendiler, beyefendiler, hepinizi İstanbul'dan saygı ve muhabbetle selamlıyorum.
Rafi Bey, merhabalar. Ben öncelikle şu notu iletmek istiyorum. Kısa kısa devam edersek Benim için çok daha iyi olur. Çok teşekkür ederim efendim.
Tamam. Ben cümle cümle devam edeceğim. Siz arada şey yaparsınız. Oldu. Teşekkür ediyorum.
Teşekkür ederim. Çok sağ olun.
Selamlamayı iletiyor musunuz? Devam edeyim mi?
Evet efendim, ben ileteyim öncelikle.
Tamam.
First of all, esteemed businessmen, and welcome to the webinar session. I'm saluting you. Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullah.
Dost ülke Pakistan'ın güzel insanlarıyla bir arada bulunmaktan büyük bir mutluluk duyuyorum.
I'm very happy and pleased to be with friendly country, Pakistan. I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Biz sizlere kardeş olarak biliyoruz. Türkiye'de kime sorsanız sorun, Pakistan denilince duyacağınız ilk kelimeler dost ve kardeş olacaktır.
We are seeing you as a brother. If you hear Pakistan's name in Turkey, first thing you will hear is the word dost or kardeş, which means brother.
İki ülke arasında dostluğun tarihi oldukça eskiye dayanmaktadır.
The history in between two countries are very long-lasting one.
Diplomatik olarak bu tarih Pakistan'ın bağımsızlığını ilan ettiği 1947 yılına kadar uzanmaktadır.
This date goes back to 1947. 1947, the date of the year for Pakistan of independence, diplomatically.
Fakat toplumsal dayanışma bakımından kardeşliğimiz daha eskidir.
If we look at the social connection of the two nations, it goes long back than this date.
Pakistan'ın milli şairi İkbal ile Türkiye'nin milli şairi Mehmet Akif Ersoy birbirini hiç görmemiş olsalar da aynı duygularla çarpan tek bir kalp gibiydiler.
Pakistan's national poet Allama Iqbal and Turkish national poet Mehmet Akif Ersoy have never seen each other, but they were connected from the hearts.
Türkiye'de yakın tarihte olduğu gibi deprem, sel, felaketi gibi konularda Pakistanlılarla omuz omuza oldu.
Whenever there was an earthquake or any disaster happened in any country, in both countries, we were together to hug our wounds.
Dostluk ve kardeşlik konusunda çok şey söyleyebiliriz ama bugün ana konumuz ekonomi ve ticaret olacağı için birkaç cümlede ticaret konusunda konuşmak istiyorum.
We can say a lot of things about friendship and brotherhood, but today the topic is trade, so I will be focusing on trade for a few sentences.
Değerli dostlarım, hepimiz için ekonomik konu bir başlık olarak çok da sevindirici gözükmüyor iki ülke arasında.
My dear friends, when we look at the economy and trade in between the countries, the relations are not looking very good as we are.
Diplomatik ve kardeşlik ilişkilerimize bakarak dışarıdan değerlendirme yapan birisi bizim ticaret hacmimizin daha büyük olacağını öngörebilir.
Anybody who would be checking diplomatic and fraternal relations in between Turkey and Pakistan, they would be expecting anything much higher than what we are having today.
Üzülerek belirtmek istiyorum ki Türkiye ile Pakistan arasındaki ticaret hacmi 1 milyar dolar bile değildir.
I'm sorry to say this, that the trade in between Turkey and Pakistan is not even reaching $1 billion.
İnşallah bu toplantıların sonucunda iki kardeş ülkenin ticaret hacminin en az 5 milyar dolar olmasını hep beraber hedeflememiz gerekir.
Inshallah, with these kind of meetings, I am hoping to have, we should be hoping to have a trade volume of $5 billion.
İki kardeş ülkenin de ekonomik anlamda çok büyük potansiyel barındırdığını, ilişki kurmak için birçok alanın olduğunu bilincindeyim.
I'm aware of that both the countries are having good potentials to have and great potentials to have a collaboration in economy, in trade.
Şu anda ülkemizde 300'e yakın Pakistanlı firma bulunmaktadır.
Right now we have about 300 companies who are running by Pakistani people.
Bizim birçok alanda madencilik, müteahhitlik, enerji, telekomünikasyon, makina gibi alanlarda çok büyük karşılıklı otomotiv gibi alanlarda potansiyel olarak işbirliği imkanlarımızın olduğunu biliyorum.
I know that we may have many more collaborations in mining, contracting, construction, energy, telecommunication, automotive, and in many more fields.
Değerli dostlarım, böyle bir toplantıda çok fazla detaya girmeden konuşmacıların da inşallah güzel konuşmalarını dinleyeceğiz. Ben İstanbul Ticaret Odası olarak 600 bin üyesiyle Pakistanlı kardeşlerimizle işbirliği yapmaya her türlü altyapımızın hazır olduğunu belirtmek istiyorum.
Inshallah, we will be hearing other keynote speakers' well presented presentations. I would like to let you know that with my 600,000 members in the chamber, I'm ready to do any collaboration with our Pakistani brothers. We have
Pakistanlı kardeşlerimizin de ticaret odamızı zaman zaman heyetler halinde ziyaret etmelerinden çok çok memnun olduğumuzu da ifade etmek istiyorum. Ancak bu ziyaretlerin bir iş alışverişine daha fazla alışveriş yapmaya, ticaret yapmaya dönüşmesini de çok arzu ettiğimi ifade etmek isterim.
I would like to express my appreciation that our Pakistani brothers are from time to time visiting us in our chamber, but I would like this visits to become a real partnership in trade.
İnşallah yakın zamanda iki organizasyon daha gerçekleştireceğiz. Pakistanlı kardeşlerimizle beraber bu Zoom ortamında iki program daha yapacağız yakın zamanda.
In the near future, we are planning to have 2 more programs with our Pakistani brothers.
Birisi fuar olacak inşallah, bir sanal fuar. Diğeri de gene bir bağlamlı bir toplantı programı olacak. Bunları da yakın zamanda gerçekleştireceğiz.
One of them would be a virtual expo. The other one will be a contextual meeting.
Bu vesileyle bu programın organizasyonu yapan kardeşlerime çok çok teşekkür ediyorum. Özellikle de iki teşekkürüm var. Birisi Başkonsolosumuz Bilal Paşa Bey'e çok çok teşekkür ediyorum. Onun gayretlerini, çabalarını görüyorum. Bir özel ufak teşekkürüm de Kaşif kardeşime, genç ve heyecanıyla beni sürekli takip ediyor. Ona da çok teşekkür ediyorum. Bu organizasyonun gerçekleşmesi demeyi geçen herkese çok çok teşekkür ederim, saygılar sunuyorum. Ticaret Odası olarak her türlü desteğe, katkıya, ilişkiye açık olduğumuzu buradan canı gönülden ifade etmek istiyorum.
First of all, I would like to thank you all for the organizing this nice event. But I have 2 more special thanks. One of them is for Consul General Mr. Bilal Pasha. I'm seeing his efforts and I'm seeing his hard work. And I have a special another thank for my brother Kashif, a young soul who's very enthusiastic about doing a business. And I would like to let you know that as being Chamber of Commerce, we are ready with all our sources and support.
Hepinize Allah'ın selamıyla selamlıyorum. Esselamu Aleyküm ve Rahmetullahi ve Berekatuhu.
I would like to salute you with the Almighty's salam.
Thank you so much, sir, for your presence. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Zubair Haider Sheikh, Director of Pakistan Turkey Business Council, FPCCI. Sir,
Thank you, Riyaz sir. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Hassan Ali Maghi from TDAP, His Excellency Bilal Khan Pasha, Consul General of Pakistan in Istanbul, Dr. Israfil, SVP for Istanbul Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Samir S. Amir, Pakistan Business Council, and all other participants to this webinar. Let me first of all thank TDAP for organizing this webinar on analyzing bilateral trade between Pakistan and Turkey. I think this is the start of the year, and naturally exchange of such ideas between the two sides would definitely help pick up the trade on the two sides. I'd like to take the opportunity to extend the best wishes of Federation's newly elected president, Mr. Nasir Hayat Nagu. He has expressed his resolve to further promote bilateral relationship between the two countries, and he has also expressed his desire to actively arrange visits of trade delegations and having joint business council meetings as the COVID situation improves, inshallah, in the near future. Even though a lot of valuable points have already been covered by Mr. Hassan Ali Mangi and Dr. Israfil, but I like to highlight a few items, and I'm sure the speakers following me would perhaps also build on that. Even though I have a long list, but I will try to keep it a little short in the interest of time. And so some of these points essentially are that
आप अपने पर्सनल पे चले जाओ.
I think there was some problem towards Zubair Haider Sheikh. So I think we will move further to other participant. Now I would like to invite Mr. Samir Ahmed. Okay, okay, sir.
sorry, we had a slight interruption. I hope I am audible to all of you now.
Yes, sir.
Turkey is one of the most important countries for Pakistan, and both countries have historical and significant relations in economic, culture, defense, and geopolitics, as we are already aware. As Dr. Israfil said, these relations are not expanding in bilateral trade and investment size. And with the passage of time, bilateral trade between both the countries have declined. Essentially, the warmth and the friendly relationship that the two countries have is not reflected in the significant bilateral trade relationship. Something that Dr. Israfil already highlighted. Bilateral trade between both countries stood at only 803 million. So it's not even $1 billion. It used to be $1.1 billion in 2011. And one factor that we attribute to this decline in trade is basically the imposition of regulatory duties, which was imposed by Turkey between 2014 and 2017. Perhaps I think with a view to protect domestic industries and agriculture sector. And during the period of COVID, Turkish government again increased the additional customs duties 3 times between April, July, and August 20, which further deteriorated the bilateral trade. Right now, bilateral trade is in favor of Turkey, and share of Pakistan in Turkey's trade is actually less than 1%. So naturally, there's a lot of room for growth, and this is something that we would like to be picked up in the future, inshallah. And Pakistan actually is exporting cotton textile, beverages, optical fibers, coarse wood textile products to Turkey, and importing machinery. I also like to highlight the fact that during the visit of Prime Minister of Turkey to Pakistan in February 2020, both countries agreed to transform their existing relations into strategic economic framework, and that was essentially a roadmap for is actually a roadmap for deepening our economic cooperation. And the main purpose of SEF essentially is to enhance bilateral trade by fivefold. I think Dr. Israfil already pointed this out, that we would like this bilateral trade between the two countries to reach at least $5 billion. And a timeline has also been defined until 2023 that milestone needs to be achieved. And we feel that one way of achieving this is with the hope that both countries will sign the FTA. So essentially, there are, I think, what I like to point out is that there are high tariff and non-tariff barriers between the two countries, and this is really the area that needs to be addressed. Apart from this, I also want to highlight. Actually, we also know the fact that Turkey is very advanced and developed in technology, and this being an important area where we can collaborate. And Natural Pakistan requires technology in many fields, including auto, chemicals, industry, etc. We are already buying machinery from Turkey, but still very big potential exists where the businesses, Turkish businesses, can actually take advantage of this. I would like to highlight, especially for Turkish investors, that Government of Pakistan has allowed the local businessmen through State Bank of Pakistan facility, which is called Temporary Economic Refinance Facility. And basically, what it does is that it provides concessional financing facilities to the businessmen here in Pakistan. And as a result of that, there's a lot of plant, equipment, machinery, etc., that is being purchased by or imported by the local business houses and the groups. So this is one area that certainly I think Turkish investors can actually engage in a much faster manner to basically at this point in time support the local business groups to further expand their businesses in different industries. We basically also encourage the Turkish investors to also actively invest in Pakistan and bring in FDI, foreign direct investment. There are already successful examples of certain large-scale investments, such as done by Architect Group and Hayat Kimi, etc. There are quite a few other examples, so that can be discussed as well. Construction industry is also booming in Pakistan due to Naya Pakistan project announced by Prime Minister of Pakistan, Prime Minister Imran Khan, and wherein 5 million low-cost houses to be constructed. Since on the Turkish side, there is a lot of expertise in constructing low-cost houses for their low-income people. So both countries have opportunity in that area as well. We also suggest that there's need of establishing linkage for direct shipping lines and perhaps banking channels as well. You need to actively pursue those areas. A few quick points that I'd like to highlight. There's one particular area that we'd like to highlight is that Turkey should promote trade directly with Pakistan instead of third countries, like importing of illegal items, which happens from Germany that are originally manufactured in Pakistan. So it would be much advisable that Turkey actually act as a gateway to Europe for Pakistani products, as against importing it indirectly through other countries. We also like to highlight the fact that Turkey has actually made a lot of development and huge investment in higher education, research and development field in science and So in this context, there is perhaps an opportunity to create linkages among the education institutions so that benefits of research could be shared. There's a huge potential. Again, this is definitely the area where Turkey perhaps can have a better handshake with Pakistan. That is in terms of potential in tourism sector in both countries. From Pakistan side, naturally, there have been a lot of visitors actually visiting Turkey. But Pakistan has also rich cultural tradition based on a diverse cultural background. So this is certainly an area that Turkish investors might want to promote and also, at the same time develop Pakistan tourism industry. Naturally, as right now where we are, Pakistan, Turkey, and even the entire world is faced with COVID-19 situation, and which has temporarily halted the economic activities all over the world, and actually we are also facing the same situation. But inshallah, we hope that this issue will be over soon, and then we'll arrange Pakistan trade delegation with Turkey. And like Dr. Israel said, he has a large chamber in Istanbul. So definitely we would like to have better engagement with more chamber as well as other chambers in Turkey through the platform of Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce. And with these words, I would like to again thank TDAP for organizing this event. And we certainly hope that this event will definitely contribute in enhancing bilateral trade and economic relations on the two sides. Thank you so much for giving the opportunity to Federation of Pakistan to represent FSA in this previous seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Samir Amir, the Director Research from Pakistan Business Council, to give his remarks on the webinar.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Can you all hear me? My name is Samir Amir. I'm the Director Research at the Pakistan Business Council. We've done a short presentation that we would like to share with the permission of Bilal Khan Pasha Sahab. Also, I would like to thank the other participants, Mr. Zubair from the FPCCI, Mr. Mangi, and Dr. Israfil in Istanbul. So if it's okay with you, can I share a short presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you can share it, sir.
Okay, here we go. All right, so this is basically Pakistan Business Council has been studying the desire of the government of Pakistan to have a free trade agreement with Turkey. We've recently done a study on the prospects of a Pakistan-Turkey free trade agreement. We believe that there are certain areas that the government of Pakistan especially needs to look into. If there are any friends from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I would request them to please get Ministry of Commerce also involved when you're negotiating FTAs. FTAs are not really trophies, but they can have a very, very major impact on domestic manufacturing. We've seen that in the case of China, where Pakistan's industry has taken a huge hit because of going into it. But I'll move on to Pakistan-Turkey bilateral trade. I represent a company known as the Pakistan Business Council. We have 83 of the largest companies as members. You can see some of the brands over here. PBC members contribute 11% of Pakistan's GDP, 40% of the country's exports. They create 2 million jobs, and they also contribute nearly 25% of all taxes collected in Pakistan. So, as you can see, these are all very, very big manufacturing companies. PBC, as a rule, only has manufacturing concerns as members. So we did a study on the potential for a Pakistan-Turkey free trade agreement. You can see the report, or the title page of the report on your right. It is also available on our website, and it is titled Pakistan-Turkey Free Trade Agreement, and it is part of the PBC's Market Access series, at which we are looking at current as well as potential FTAs. In addition to this one, we also have one on the potential of Pakistan, Thailand FTA, Pakistan, South Korea FTA. We've done a review of Pakistan's FTA with China. We've done a review of Pakistan's FTA with Malaysia, and there's one being currently done on Pakistan's preferential trade agreement with Indonesia. So where do we get all the data? The data basically comes in from ITC. And we rely on trade data to provide an overview of bilateral and potential trade between Pakistan and Turkey. And this report tries to analyze what will happen to bilateral trade if an FTA is signed. And given that Turkey is Pakistan's 15th largest export destination and 30th largest import source, it contributes immensely to the country's trade profile. Furthermore, with FTA talks happening between the two countries, it has become important to analyze the areas in which Pakistan needs to negotiate. So it's always better to put the issues on the table, and we hope that the Ministry of Commerce and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be on the same page when they actually negotiate with Turkey. So these are some of the trade trends. As Zubair Saab had pointed out, at one point, the bilateral trade was more than $1 billion. But after Turkey imposed anti-dumping duties on Pakistan's denim apparel, we are also seeing that Turkey, and we keep seeing that although we talk a lot about bilateral trade and about bilateral relations, when it comes to defending their own domestic industry, Turkey can be very, very ruthless. So we are seeing that since 2015, bilateral trade has increased from about 440 million to 673 million. Pakistan's exports have increased by 26% during this 5-year period, while Turkey's exports to Pakistan have risen by 83.5% during the same 5-year period. Pakistan currently has a trade deficit of about $80 million in its trade with Turkey. So these are the major exports to Turkey, HS2. As you can see, cotton dominates it at 59%, followed by plastics and articles at 7%, beverages that's 5%, cereals at 4%, and articles of apparel or clothing knitted or crocheted at only 4%. So these are some of the top 25 exports. As you can see, in spite of the dumping duty, we still are managing to export some of our denim, which just shows that Pakistan's denim industry is improving. PVC has also done a study on our denim sector, and the major finding that we have found is that Turkey is really in the higher end of denim, which is why they are allowing imports from Pakistan, although at a duty rate of 6%. Pakistani denim is not really of the quality that Turkish apparel is made of. As you are aware, that the raw material that is used primarily dictates the price that you get. Our cotton, although it's short staple, has got issues like contamination, etc. So we are right at the bottom. So other products other than denim are folded or cabled cotton yarn, plain woven fabrics, and then PET is one of the first things that comes in at $14.81 million. All these are 2019 calendar year export figures from Pakistan, and they've all been sourced from ITC, that is International Trade Center. And when we look at our major imports from Turkey, we see machinery at 19%, iron and steel at 10%, plastics and articles at 6%, edible vegetables at 6%, and aircraft and spacecraft and parts at 5%. So this is what we are seeing. Our top imports from Turkey, about $32 million is flat rolled products of iron or non-alloy steel. And then you can see that nothing is more than $11 million in a particular HS code at 6-digit level. So there's a lot of products coming in from Turkey, nothing very, very significant. So these are the top 25 imports. I've requested TDAP to share this presentation with you. This is also there in our website, so you can always refer to it. So now we come to what exactly Turkey is good at. And we can see that HS-87 vehicles other than railway or tramway, $26 billion worth of exports. And when we are talking about $26 billion worth of exports, most of it is actually in addition to vehicles, auto parts. As we are all aware that Turkey has got a customs agreement with the European Union, which has allowed labor-intensive production, which is mostly machine parts, and the European car assemblers are sourcing these spare parts and components out of Turkey. Most of these are OEMs that are manufacturing in Turkey. Turkey, as you all know, has got an excellent infrastructure, and because since there are no tariff barriers and it is technically a part of the European Union, it makes a lot of sense to manufacture in Turkey and then ship it into Europe. Then the other things they have are machinery, iron and steel, then articles of apparel or clothing, and then finally electrical machinery equipment, sound recorders, reproducers, etc. So what they're doing is that what the EU countries have done is that, and also other multinationals, that they have made Turkey a production hub for products which requires labor in it. So we talk about ourselves and we ask ourselves, what is it that we can actually export to Turkey? And the first thing that comes out are our surgical instruments at $352 million. We hardly export anything, although the tariff is not there. Then denim comes in next at $192 million worth of denim, followed by cotton yarn at 181 million, and men's and boys' trousers, bibs, braces, 154 million. So as you can see, most of the items that are there are textile related. Then we also see some products like rice and other products like of the agricultural industry. We can also export sugarcane, but since this is based on 2019 figures, this more year we don't have a surplus, but we definitely can look at footwear as an export market where Pakistan has got a 4% tariff applied on it. And then there are so what is it that Turkey can export? And now this becomes very, very interesting. So what is it that Turkey would ask for if they were to have an FTA with Pakistan? As you can see right at the top, iron, steel. But come to number 3, motor cars and other motor vehicles, 312 million. Number 5, motor cars and other motor vehicles primarily designed for transport of persons. Number 6, motor cars and other motor vehicles. So as you can see, 87 is what Turkey would be pushing Pakistan for in case we sign an FTA with them. The problem of accepting something like that would basically mean that all the investment that has been done in our own auto sector will be exposed, and we cannot tell our other FTA partners, especially China, that we cannot allow you duty-free access, because that's not the way it works. You can't be selective and discriminate. And then what are our recommendations? So the first primary recommendation is that if we are going to negotiate a trade deal with Turkey, we need to be pushing for our top exports, which includes ethyl alcohol. Pakistan has got some great ethyl alcohol. However, other top exports include agricultural products on which concession may be difficult to obtain for the simple reason that all countries defend their agricultural industry. So what we have, we might have difficulty in exporting to Turkey because of sensitivities. But what is it that they'll be looking at? They are looking at machinery, and then they're looking at the automobile sector. And we feel that the Pakistani manufacturing sector, because of all the huge investments that have been made, need to be safeguarded. And this number 3 is very, very important. The tariff on textiles goods should already have been removed, given Pakistan's GSP plus status and Turkey's customs union with the European Union. Instead of negotiating on an FTA, we should have taken Turkey to court and asked them to give us the same concessions that were available under GSP plus. I know some people would like to say that what I'm saying is blasphemy, actually, and then Turkey is a very, very good friend. But at the end of the day, our friends look at us, how economically strong we are. And economic sovereignty is what dictates what we can actually do in this world. So our strong recommendation is that we should disassociate ourselves from any FTA negotiations and insist that the past, since 2014, since the Turkey should have given us unilateral market access, which we are entitled under GSP plus, at least those items Turkey, as a gesture of goodwill, should allow for Pakistan. This basically is my presentation, and I would now take any questions if there are any. I speak from the heart because I firmly believe that we are all here for a mutually beneficial relationship. Somehow or the other, everybody becomes a diplomat when it comes to the economy. We cannot afford to be diplomats. We need to be hardcore businessmen, and that, in a nutshell, is my message. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to repeat here once again that if any one of you have any question, they can type it in the box given below. We will answer them after the end of presentations. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Bilal Khan Pasha Sahab to give his a detailed presentation regarding the webinar.
Very much, Yasab. I hope I'm audible.
Sir, your volume is very slow. Can you please?
Volume is slow. Okay. I am audible now.
Yes,
There is some.
it's clear now, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much. I would like to extend my thanks to TDAP for organizing this webinar, especially the Secretary TDAP, SLL Saab. I would also appreciate the efforts made by our Director General, Mr. Atar Khokar, and of course you, our moderator, Ayasa. I'm grateful to Dr. Israfil personally, and of course, both and professionally. I find you as my mentor in Istanbul. And I hope with your efforts and the intentions which we both share, I hope inshallah that we will see certain improvements in our trade. I'm also grateful to Ibrahim Bey. I think I can see him also in the participants list. He also made a very good effort in organizing this event from the Istanbul Chamber side. I'm also grateful to Samir Saab and Samir's point and the PBC's point of view, the research which he has shared with us previously also. I'm grateful to Magoo Saab, Amjad Rafi Saab, FPCCI Saab, FPCCI Zubair Saab, especially Zubair Saab, who made some very pertinent points, by the way, in regard to improvements in our bilateral trade relations. Now, I have a small presentation, but let me first give you the objective of this presentation. Primarily, this webinar is intended to create awareness amongst our existing and potential exporters in regard to the Turkish import regime, the Turkish economy, and how our exports are faring right now and how we see the potential of our exports. And in regard to the FTA and other issues which Mr. Samir has raised, I will try to address within my presentation, during my presentation, but if not addressed, then kindly do ask me in the question and answer session. So I'll just start with this. I hope this screen is visible, right?
Right, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Primarily, this presentation is divided into the four segments. First of all, an introduction to the Turkish economy, and this is important. Why this is important? Because this will give you the context in which our exports are facing certain challenges. And of course, this will also set the tone for our further discussion. And then a very short introduction of the Turkish trade laws. And of course, we have a series of trade laws in Turkey, but I will only be focusing on the import laws and the related regulations. Then a little overview of Pak-Turkey trade relations. I think PBC has given a very detailed data on that, but I would be focusing more on the recent trends because of the supply chain disruptions which we have observed last year, and that has really changed the direction of trade to a certain extent in our some of the products. And of course, we'll discuss very briefly some challenges followed by the opportunities which we have identified. And it is always important to to reiterate the role of Ministry of Commerce, TDAP, and our missions at the commercial section in the promotion of Pakistan exports. There are many things I think which our exporters should be aware of, the things, the schemes, or the facilitation which the three organizations are offering. So before I dwell on the Turkish economy, it is very important to understand the geographic location of this beautiful and historic country. this country is surrounded by 8 neighbors. And if you can see, Syria, Iraq, Iran on this side, on the eastern side, and of course, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. But on the western side, toward the European side, is Bulgaria and Greece. Why I have intentionally mentioned about the geographic location is because due to the regional certain geopolitical issues are now a lot of our exports are finding their way into Syria, Iraq, and Iran while using the Turkish route. So I'll give more details on this later, but this is important to understand the context of the importance of Turkey, the geostrategic importance of Turkey in this whole region. Just a very brief snapshot. Turkey is part of G20 countries. It's the world's 19th largest economy. Since 2018, it has been facing certain economic challenges. I will briefly discuss about that in the coming slides. So you won't see enough growth rate, but the growth rate is expected to hopefully increase or to gain the earlier pace by 2021 and 2022 by the next year. So its GDP stands right now at $761 billion. Exports have been continuously on the rise. This year, of course, due to the COVID phenomena, exports have come a little bit down. But again, having exports of $170 billion is by no means a small feat. So, and of course, simultaneously, their imports are increasing. And if you can see in 2017, their import bill touched $238 billion. Of course, they have managed to bring it down to 210 billion in 2019, which again has increased to 220 billion this last year, 2020. The good thing is that their export to import coverage ratio is very good. It is averaging around 80-85% in the last 2-3 years. They're getting good investments from abroad. But the challenges which the Turkish economy is facing is a very high inflation rate and double-digit unemployment, and of course the currency depreciation. This is a brief chart of the GDP growth rate. If you can see in 2018, we witnessed 3 quarters of negative growth, and this is the reason that in 2018 Turkey imposed some very punitive import duties on majority of the items. Unfortunately, most of those items are the ones in which we excel. So, but nonetheless, it's the demand of the economy. So again, in 2020, of course, everyone knows due to this COVID phenomena, in the second quarter, the GDP went down and the industrial production also stopped. And this is another reason why this year our exports to Turkey have not been doing so well. On average, the Turkish exports, in the last 2 years, they average around 13 to $15 billion on average per month. And on average, the Turkish imports average, on average, the Turkish exports fare around $15 billion per month, and the Turkish imports on average around 17, 18, 19 billion dollars. You can see this huge trade gap in 2018. And then, of course, due to this COVID phenomena, you can, from the months of April, May, and June, you would see a great dip, both in imports as well as in exports. But of course, exports have started to pick. Imports have now been almost stabilized. The inflation, like I've already mentioned, it has touched around 14% in the last 2-3 months. And this has been a big worry. And this is the reason that the interest rates have gone up again. And now the interest rate is 17%, 17%. So you can imagine the issues and the problems which the Turkish economy right now is facing. But the good thing is that they have very good infrastructure. They have good, strong fundamentals. So, and they have always been coming out of all these challenges very successfully, and it is expected, like this, I will mention this foreign exchange, this currency which has now been stabilized at around 7.5. By the way, this currency, of course, when I joined this mission, the rate was 3.7 to $1. Now it has gone up to 7.5, and this has made the imports very expensive. With this introduction, I'll just very briefly mention that the Turkish exports are primarily focused on the European Union region. For the reason, of course, they have a FTA, they have a customs union with the European Union countries, of course, and they have FTA with some of the non-EU countries, but which are in the European continent. They have 22 FTAs, and if we take a good analysis of all those FTAs and Turkey's trade with them, it would be transpired that around 70 to 80% of Turkish exports are focused on those countries, minus the China and US. There are the two countries which with which Turkey it does not have any FTA. Insofar as the imports are concerned, almost the same thing is there. The reliance is more on the European Union side, but of course, in this imports, Turkish imports, we see a lot of Chinese now companies coming into play, and in the last 2-3 years, now China has become the Turkey's largest trading partner in terms of imports. These are the latest figures which we have just received last week, and this shows that the Turkey's imports. These imports have gone up to $219 billion. And these are the items which Turkey has been importing. I mean, Chapter 84, 87, minerals, mines, some machinery, electrical machinery. And if you can see in all these 5 chapters, Pakistan is not present globally. I mean, these are the chapters in which we do not enjoy any competitive advantage, at least for the Turkish market. So, and the details are given, and of course, this presentation will be shared with our exporters, and they can have a detailed analysis. So, Turkey closed 2020 with $169 billion of exports and $219 billion of imports. And these are the Turkey's top 5 trading partners, both in terms of exports as well as imports. Now, something about the Turkish import regime. The Ministry of Trade basically is the custodian of the Turkish foreign trade regime, and they every year, like in our budget, we announce our budget every year in May or June, and then from 1st of July, our financial year from July to June, we have new customs tariffs and all other import and exports regulations. So same goes for the Turkey. Their financial year is from January to December, and every year on 31st of December, they issue a series of decrees and laws and communiques which gives details for the import regime. Basically, this import regime is the problem with in deciphering this import regime is that almost all of the laws, decrees, and communiques are in Turkish language, and unfortunately, it's not available in the English language. So it sometimes becomes very difficult for the importer or for the Pakistani exporter to understand the intricacies of the trading regime. Nonetheless, the commercial section always provides the translation as well as any help in that regard in understanding that regime. So, in terms of import duties, there are a set of complex duties which are applicable the Turkish customs tariff. Duties are both ad valorem, specific, and mixed also. There is a basic custom duty, and on majority of the items, there is an additional custom duties. There is a VAT. There are surveillance charges. Then there is mass housing fund, special consumption tax, resource utilization support fund, other taxes, and of course, stamp tax. Not all these taxes are applicable on each and every product, but on majority of the items, you would find surveillance charges, additional custom duties in addition to the basic custom duties. And all these duties are not available in any one single document. There are different laws, different decrees, and you have to then combine all these duties into one folder. Rules of origin, of course, being part of the customs. I mean, they have a Turkey is part of the customs union of EU, so they follow all those rules and regulations. And in terms of rules of origin, Turkey is also member of D8 ECO, like Honorable Secretary has mentioned. So they also accept those certificate of origin. The GSP scheme, which Turkey is has adopted, it has to be in line with the EU. However, Turkey does maintain that it has got certain waivers and it can have its own GSP scheme and preferences, and therefore Pakistan is not included as a beneficiary of GSP Plus, which we have been benefiting from the European Union since 2014. And but we are the beneficiary of normal GSP scheme of Turkey. Now, this is a very important scheme. This is the inward processing regime. This is equivalent of Pakistan's DTRE scheme. I think he also mentioned in his presentation that denim fabric is one of our top exports, and despite high duties, it's still making its way. In fact, it's not due to, in fact, the duties are a big hindrance in the free flow of our exports. Basically, this is the inward processing regime, which is making possible for almost 60% of our textile exports to come duty-free, to be used as a raw material for the Turkish end products. And those then end products are then re-exported to European Union and other markets. And this is the reason when the Turkish exports are down, when the Turkish exports of textiles and clothing are down, correspondingly, our exports of textiles raw material is also down. I'll give more details on this particular phenomena. Standards is a very important issue for our exports, for our exporters. In Turkey, the Turkish Standards Institute, TSE, is basically the custodian of issuing standards, regulating standards, as well as implementing those standards. And those standards are applicable on a majority of industrial products. More than 12,000 items they have, as of now, identified, and they have issued standards for those items and products. Incidentally, we do have Mr. Ali Baksumro, I think, in our participants from the Pakistan Standards and Quality Control Authority. He's the Director of Standards. And TSQCA is in contact with TSC in regard to the harmonization of standards. And I think he will be able to enlighten us more in the question and answer session. But this is very important because many of our products need to get first registered either in the local market or have to conform to those standards before being imported. And of course, the SPA certification is also required for the plant, for all the fruits, vegetables, and for the meat, poultry, and the seafood and fish items. I'll just very briefly give you these three practical examples, just to make you understand how things work over here. By the way, the tariff code, the HS classification is based, I mean, the Turkish tariff is based on HS classification. For the first 6 digits are the same, and the last 6 digits are basically the national nomenclature. So this is chapter 64 item footwear. Pakistan is very good in footwear. So footwear with outer soles of leather, the description is there. Let's say we some Turkish importer intends to import 1,000 pieces, and each value $10, so it's a $10,000 product. Now, the customs duty is 4.5%. The additional customs duty is 30%. So finally, the product would cost at import at around 14,544. So it's this is the amount of duty, which so that from $10, the value, the CNF value at any of the Turkish port comes to around $14.5. And these are the things which are otherwise also required for the import of footwear. Of course, all other are normal certificates and documents, but see these serial number 7 and serial number 8. It's an obligation to label the shoes. Now imagine if you are exporting all these footwear, and you have to label each and every shoe, and as per the requirement which is given in this decree. Same goes for the specialized customs implementation. And since this is a risk assessment product. So customs has its own valuation on this particular product also. Let me move to the next product. This is gloves. This is again exported. This used to be exported from Pakistan in a good number, but of course, after the imposition of additional custom duty, its imports have gone in Turkey really down. So this is again a practical example. This item, 1,000 numbers, let's say again the same value, $10, so at $10,000. And for this particular item, see the catch. The duty is 5.5%. The MFN duty is 5.5%. The GSP duty is 5.5% for us. But since Pakistan has been excluded even from the normal GSP under this particular product, so the 9% custom duty would be applicable. And of course, we do have 30% additional custom duty. So this is the, and now you can see the duty part and how, let's say, it's a kind of a big hindrance for the Turkish importers to import from Pakistan with this much of duty. Let me give you one final example. This is furniture. Pakistan is very good, by the way, in furniture. Our furniture exports are going up. So this is a wooden furniture used in dining, living room. It's chapter 94. So again, let's say it's a one container of Pakistani furniture. This is a 20-ton container, and the price is, let's say, $100,000. So now, in this case, the custom duty is zero. The MFN rate is zero. There is an additional custom duty, but there are surveillance charges, and these surveillance charges are $3 per kilo. So that translates into $60,000 surveillance charges. This added with the duty of $30,000. So you can imagine, and the total duty is around $100,000 on the $100,000 item. So who will be the importer making imports for these items? So these are the, in fact, the practical issues which our exporters are facing in terms of the potential products. And the only solution to deal with such issues, such problems, is of course the reduction of duties. And these are, of course, the documents which are required. And of course, the more the list of documents you can, I mean, it's visible on your screen, and I don't need to comment more, but it's even from the duties, after the duties hurdle, these documents are again a big challenge for the Pakistani exporters. A lot of documents. Now, something about bilateral trade. Pakistan's 99.9% exports are from are through the sea route, and APL, Maersk, CTSC, I mean, Hanjin are the preferred shipping lines. Of course, they make first port of call at Dubai, and then the most three important ports for the Pakistani exports are Maersk port near Adana, Izmir port, and then Istanbul port and Kocaeli ports. So these are the four ports which are very important for the Pakistani exports. Majority of our food exports, those land at Mersin port. Majority of our textiles and leather exports and surgical instruments, sports goods, those land at Izmir and at Istanbul port. A lot of food items and a lot of those items which are ultimately destined for Syria, Iran, and Iraq are landed at Mersin port, and from here, those are transited to Turkish land to these three countries. You all have seen the details in regard to the our overall trade. Of course, till 2011, it nearly crossed $1 billion mark. But since the imposition of duties, our exports have gone down from $873 million to $300 million. And this year, I mean, the last year, 2020, we might be closing at $270 million. On the other hand, Turkish exports are rising. And last year, those exports closed at $500 million. But in 2020, in fact, there is another increase, and you won't be surprised to even that the Turkey would be crossing $500 million, $500 million mark, and it will cross around $520 million. So, and another issue is that the Turkey has replaced some of the Indian products which Pakistan has been importing from India, but due to the trade ban, Turkish products have been quick to replace the Indian products. Pakistan only enjoys 0.15% share in the overall Turkish exports of $219 billion. And likewise, the Turkey's share in Pakistan imports is not much, it's just 1%. The trade balance, of course, is in favor of Turkey. These are the top items. Samir has already mentioned details. I'll be trying to focus more on this year's recent trend and the exact products rather than giving these chapters. So the impact of COVID was very phenomenal on our bilateral trade, especially from April onwards. Turkey introduced many sets of additional customs duties, and those additional customs duties severely impacted Pakistan's exports of footballs, tires and tubes for motorcycle and bicycles, our beauty instruments like manicure items, pedicure items, scissors, etc. So these particular items faced a lot of brunt of the Turkish additional customs duties, which is quite understandable because the Turkish economy was facing a lot of challenges and they had to impose huge additional customs duties. Now, in this table, we have last year's financial year's complete data from January to November. There's a one month lag. So our exports were doing good. I mean, on average, those have achieved $25 million on average in the first 3 months. But then afterwards, due to this COVID phenomena from April to even November onward, we have, except in the month of August, for which there is a certain reason which I will explain, our exports have not been able to keep up the pace with the previous year's exports. So there is an overall 11% decrease in the Pakistani exports. On the other side, the Turkish exports to Pakistan just faced a slowdown in April and May, of course, understandably, on account of COVID, and in July, of course, in June also. But overall, the Turkish exports have registered an increase. It's already in 11 months, $498 million. So like I mentioned before, this last year, it will be closed. It is expected to be closed by, you could be receiving another $50 to $60 million of Turkish exports to Pakistan. So that will close at $550 or $60 million. A recent trend is very important. And this is something which I would like to focus. And because we have witnessed some supply chain disruptions also, our denim yarn and other yarns have faced a significant decline in the last 11 months. The data is from January to November last year, updated latest data as per and the source of data is Turkish Customs and Turkish Statistical Institute. So you would be witnessing a lot of decrease in our fabrics, yarn and raw material. For yarns, the issue is that in fact these yarns are now getting expensive in the Pakistani market also, because this is the textile raw material, and in fact the Turkish importer and even Pakistani exporter are now competing in the domestic market for certain types of yarn. So we are witnessing a decline in certain types of yarn, which are now being used more for the production of textiles in Pakistan. And another good trend is that we have just started witnessing some exports in the ready-made garment sector in the Chapter 61, 2 and 3 from Pakistan to Turkey, for the reason that many of these items are now being directly re-exported from Turkey to the other destinations, and on account of certain supply chain disruptions, Turkish importers have chosen Pakistan for some of the ready-made textile products, especially denim shorts, especially cotton trousers, and some other related items. An interesting exports was tents and canvas, and this is basically on account of UNHCR tender for the provision of all these tents, canvas, blankets to the Syrian refugees. So from just under $500,000 last year, it has crossed $18 million this year. Of course, this is a temporary phenomenon. It depends on the regional situation, and that's why the importance of Turkey as a geostrategic location for our exports to these trouble spots as well. So in textile, it's a long list. I think I've mentioned the details. Like for example, cardigans. These were never exported before. Chapter 61 cardigans, vests. And this year, of course, the amount is not much, but it's a encouraging and positive trend. So $1.6 million exports have been witnessed in 2020. For the items mentioned in this plastics, chapter 39 and 40, PET has, for a certain kind of PET, we have registered a huge decrease. And the reason was the lack of industrial activity in this particular product item in Turkey for its use, because it's again a raw material which is used for many industries in Turkey, glass industry, plastics industry, as well as in some other, as well as in textile industry also. What we have been, it's been clear to see that our efforts to introduce tires and tubes industry in Turkey have bore fruits, and we have witnessed, though not much, but still a good positive increase in the export of tires, especially bicycle and motorcycle tires to the Turkish market. And this again is a good omen, because Turkey has been importing the tires for bicycle, motorcycles, and for small vehicles from abroad. So, and of course, we are also importing tires for our commercial vehicles, for our normal vehicles from Turkey, from Sabancı, from Petlas, from other companies. But this is a good intra-industry trade. In food items, this is one area in which we are focusing. We were focusing last year, and we will continue to focus even in the coming years also. We find a lot of potential. By the way, in all these tables, we have also mentioned the duties. And this duty is basically the duty which has been introduced from the 1st of January of this year. And there are a lot of changes in the duty structure. We have not been able to complete the tables in the textile side, which we will be doing inshallah in the next 3 days. But all other chapters are complete with the updated list of duties. In the food items, there is a very positive trend in our exports of dates. Our dates, by the way, are used as industrial dates in Turkey, not for the consumer and for the end consumer and for the edible use. Our dates are more popular for the industrial use, and have witnessed a good significant increase, even in the presence of COVID. This increase, be 2.16%, is very encouraging, because we have witnessed overall a decrease in Turkish imports of dates. Our ethyl alcohol, Samir also mentioned about that. It is widely used in a lot of industries in Turkey, and of course in the use of sanitizers also. So its imports in Turkey have increased, and there are certain items like gut bladder, intestines. But I would focus on this rice, dates, and sesame seeds more. In rice, there has been an increase. Mind you, this duty 15%, which you can see in the last column of the table, is only for 4 months. After 4 months, I mean, it is only from 1st of January till 30th of April. From 1st of May, this duty will again revert to 45%. And this Turkey has done in terms of depletion of stocks, rice stocks. So our rice exporters have a very good chance to increase their exports at least in the next 4 months by taking advantage of this reduction in the duties. There are other items also which are finding their way. Some very interesting items. I mean, some confectionery from Pakistan, some henna, mehendi from Pakistan, and some other related items finally have been able to make their way. Even apple juice, it's not the juice for the consumer, it's basically the concentrate. So concentrate for apple juice, for guava, has also found its way into the Turkish market. There's another encouraging trend in our exports of chemicals. Details are mentioned. Due to the paucity of time, I won't go into the details. Again, in our leather and leather products, both for rawhide skins and gloves, ready-made jackets. You could see the trend; it's there. We do have a small increase in gloves for the use as a security glove, used for the HSE equipment. And all these basically, despite due to high duties, have been able to make their way. But This is primarily due to the inward processing regime, because these items are further re-exported to the adjoining countries. This is the story of sports good, like I mentioned before, due to the imposition of 25% duty from April to December, and from 1st of January this year, now it's 20%. Even with this 20% duty, I don't think our footballs will be able to make their way into the Turkish market, and therefore you could see a drastic reduction from 5 million to just 2 million in just 11 months. So, and that goes for surgical instruments also. Surgical instruments, of course, has another story as well, and that is more relating to the standards issue, on which our colleague from PSQCA, he might be able to throw more light. But overall, it has been a tough year for our medical and surgical instruments exports to the Turkish market. Auto parts, again, it's of course the amounts are not much, but I mean, at least they have made their way into the Turkish market, and we hope that in the coming years, this sector will be crossing at least $5 to $10 million exports mark for the Turkish market. This is again other items relating to auto parts. Our salt is coming, of course, Himalayan salt is coming. This item, natural stearide, is used, the talc is used a lot in the Turkish industries. It has witnessed a good exports into the Turkish market. And then there are some other items in the metals category which have seen significant increase into the Turkish market, and some, of course, have witnessed decline also. Glassware also, especially glassware for the pharmaceutical products. These are used as bottles for the pharmaceutical products. The characteristics of bilateral trade are very important. We have a limited baskets, not more than 20 or 30 items which cross $1 million mark. We are just focused on the non-value added in the textile sector. Then following that, agriculture, just 3 items, like I mentioned, rice, dates, and sesame seeds. And then in sports goods, it's just the football. Surgical instruments, it's just the 3 instruments: dental, ophthalmic, and one veterinary related equipment. And then, of course, in chemicals, incidentally, there are anti-dumping duties still on our synthetic textiles. These are in addition to additional customs duties. So, and this is not something new. Since 1990s, Pakistani exports have been facing such issues into the Turkish market. Leather, chemicals, they are facing the same issues. Another challenge is the similarity in our export, because 40% of our exports are similar to the Turkish exports and the Turkish industry. So, in fact, some majority of these items, we compete in the EU and US market. So we have to find some way for the intra-industry trade and to join hands rather than compete in the international market. Challenges I have mentioned, of course, inadequate market exploration is one thing. We need our businessmen to explore more. Our commercial section is available, TDAP is available. So besides tourism, you should also explore the Turkish market for good business opportunities. Unfortunately, still there are no direct shipping and logistics carriers available. There is not even a single Turkish company in Pakistan in freight sector, and likewise, not even a single Pakistani company in Turkey. There are certain trade finance issues, banking access. We don't have any Turkish bank in Pakistan. We just have one branch, manual branch of HBL available in Turkey, and no other Pakistani bank is available. Import duty structure, I have mentioned enough. Harmonization standard is one very important issue in which we are focusing. PSQCA has made certain progress, and I hope in the next few months there will be some good news in this regard. In terms of export opportunities, what we find is that in certain categories of textiles, in certain categories of product categories of leather, surgical instruments, these are our traditional sectors. We do still have good opportunities despite high incidence duties. In the non-traditional sectors, seafood, in the fisheries, we do have, especially the freshwater fishes also, the sweet water fishes also liked. Then, of course, in the fruits and vegetables, within this, only dates and certain vegetables we do find some potential, certain footwear, machinery, and chemicals. We do have a list of around 100 potential items, which we'll be sharing after this presentation with the participants. Now, the role of MOC is that, and the Trade Development Authority and this mission is the Ministry of Commerce is basically the policy advocacy, has their policy advocacy role for for our exporters, and of course to negotiate trade deals with the different countries. And like Samir has mentioned, and let me, by the way, inform him that all FTAs are negotiated by Ministry of Commerce, and of course it's basically the core ministry which is entrusted with this task. So there is a progress on the Pak-Turkey FTA, which I'll be explaining more in the Q&A session. So in terms of participation in trade fairs, sending trade delegations, assisting exporters, TDAP has been extending in the past, has been extending even now all the support and facilities for our exporters. And by the way, Turkish market is again, it is a traditional market. Of course, due to the COVID, this online virtual exhibitions have become, I mean, the order of the day, but still they cannot take away the shine of the normal exhibitions. And even for this calendar year, these 8 exhibitions have been announced. Of course, there are many exhibitions, more than 100 exhibitions have been announced to be held in physical terms. But these are the 8 exhibitions which we have recommended to TDAP, and Automechanica, they have already announced, FTEX, they have already announced, ExpoMed and IDEX. These exhibitions are very important because for our exporters to participate, because not only the customers from the main Turkey, but also from the adjoining countries, from North African countries, even from Senegal, from Egypt, from Libya, from Central Asian states, and even from the East European states. Like, for example, in this ExpoMed, which was held last year, and of course, it has been continuously on the TDAP's calendar, around 60% visitors to the Pakistani stalls were from were not from Turkey, but from the other countries, like which I mentioned. So this is important to take Turkey as a good destination for our exports to the adjoining countries, to the North African countries, East European countries, and these exhibitions play a very important role. Unfortunately, as I have been just informed this morning, the participation from Pakistani side in Automechanica is lackluster. TDAP just received 3 or 4 applications. We would urge our exporters of auto parts, engineering products to take full advantage of this Automechanica. By the way, more than 500 Chinese companies every year participate in this Automechanica. Likewise, I would also advise our surgical instruments industry to please participate in IDEX and ExpoMed, leather industry for the Lee Show, and the yarn for the Bojan Fair. And for the food industry, it's very important. The World Food is a very important exhibition, and exhibitions still hold very important charm for the Turkish buyers, importers, and manufacturers. TDAP does support in organizing and sending trade delegations. Not only in sending trade delegations, but TDAP also supports in for the incoming delegations also in the past and even now. So Turkey, there are many Turkish delegations which TDAP has sponsored, many buyers delegation, and now we are working jointly, collaboratively on this Texpo, and which Honorable Dr. Israfil has also mentioned in his speech that his next focus is now sending a good virtual trade delegation of Turkish textile importers for to participate in the Texpo. So, and of course, TDAP, and of course, and this mission also, we do have an extensive database of importers and buyers. By the way, our exporters should take advantage of this DLTL scheme, the drawback of local taxes and levies, and the sectors which are available in this DLTL is particularly, which I would mention, is spices, meat, fish products, auto parts, footwear. So please take advantage of DLTL while preparing your export plans for Turkey. And then we do have market reports available, and we also provide B2B with the facilitation in the B2B interaction, because language is a big challenge, and we have been in the past providing language services, interpretation services, as well as help in having interaction with the Turkish companies. Now, after this COVID SOPs, we almost on weekly basis arrange meetings of Pakistani companies with the Turkish companies with the help of Zoom, with the help of Google Meet and other available tools. And our TDO, Ms. Tuna, she is always there to support in terms of interpretation as well as in arranging the B2B interaction. There are a few trade and economic agreements which has taken place in the past. Very importantly, last year in February, we signed a strategic economic framework, which is very important. I will give more detail in the Q&A session. So, but overall, we do enjoy a good trade and commerce relation so far as the legal framework is concerned. But of course, we need to work more to remove all the impediments hurting our exports, as well as to provide a level playing field to our exporters for the Turkish market. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, sir. Now I will take some questions that were sent to us during the presentation. So the first question was that why Pakistan and Turkey are not signing the free trade agreements. What are the issues and challenges, and what are the future for the FTAs?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This question is addressed to me. Okay, right. The FTA history is a very long and checkered history. We first started our negotiations in the year 2003. So now it's 17 years. The two countries have been negotiating first for the PTA and now for the last 6 years for the FTA. Issues I think Sameer has already mentioned, but at the cost of repetition, let me inform that there are certain sectors in which the Turkish government has shown reservations for the lowering of duties, especially in the textiles and leather and footwear sectors. Likewise, from the Pakistani side, there are some apprehensions shown by our auto industry, auto sector, chemical sectors, even our textile sectors also. So an ideal FTA is always a quid pro quo. You give some, you take some. So it's basically how to balance that negotiation to have a win-win situation. And I think in the last 2 years, we have been able to receive a very good guidance from our Honorable Minister, Razak Daud Sahab. And in fact, he has changed the approach of our negotiation. He has very categorically mentioned that, okay, let's agree to disagree on the items and do not discuss more on those. And let's focus on those items on which we all agree. So based on that approach, this last year during the visit of the Honorable President of Turkey to Pakistan in February, it was decided that the two governments will undertake a short study, a strategic study, in which we will identify certain products. Turkey will identify certain products for Pakistan which are not sensitive for our industry. We will identify certain products for Turkey which are not sensitive for the Turkish industry. And then let's start exchange. Let's exchange tariff concessions on those particular items. So I'm happy to share that the study has been completed. The products have been identified. List has been prepared, and in the next few weeks, there might be an official discussion on those items, and we might be seeing some an early harvest of FTA program. That early harvest program, a mini kind of a trade deal in which, let's say, 30, 50, or 60 items would be given tariff preferences on the reciprocal arrangement. Now, taking advantage of this question, let me also address the GSP part. For certain reasons, Turkey has not been able and will not be able to extend the GSP plus facility to the Pakistani exporters. So, and there's a long detail for that, but suffice it to say that let's focus on this mini trade deal rather than focusing on those areas in which we don't have any agreement per se. I hope I have answered this question.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much, sir. Sir, another question is from the Hassan Frame Leather Company, which is also a manufacturer and exporter of sports gloves from Sialkot. Sir, they have asked that what are the potential of this product in the Turkey? How can we connect with the importers in Turkey? Is there any forums for the B2B cooperation between the Pakistani exporter and the Turkish importer? And they have asked for any recommendations that will suggest by you and sir by Dr. Israfil. So kindly sir, share some light on this question.
Okay. If, with your permission, I'll ask Dr. Israfil to respond first, and then I will be able to contribute whatever he says.
Yes sir, yes sir. All right sir.
Tuna Hanım bir soruyu çevirir misiniz? Ben şey yapayım. Cevaplandırayım.
Ms. Tuna, to translate.
Can I have the question again, please?
Ms. Tuna, yes, Ms. Tuna, the question is how we see the potential of the gloves and sports gloves in the Turkish market, and how the Istanbul Chamber can help us in identifying the Turkish importers and have this B2B interaction.
Sports gloves we are talking about, right?
Leather gloves, sports gloves, all sorts of gloves.
İsrafil Bey şunu sorarlar. Şimdi az önce sunumda da belirtilmişti. Bu deri eldivenler, spor eldivenleri, eldiven konusunda şöyle ithal etmenin vergisi %0 fakat bir şey var, ek vergi var, ek vergi yükümlülüğü var. O da %20 gibi bir oran. Bu oran da hani büyük o şeyle biz Kasım ayı verilerine baktığımızda Pakistan'dan Türkiye'ye yapılan ihraçta özellikle bu alanda büyük bir düşüş vardı. Şimdi burada sanıyorum bir tane firmamız da var. Onlar da şöyle bir sizden yardım ve destek hani isterler İstanbul Ticaret Odası kapsamında acaba bize bir işbirliği sağlanabilir mi? Yani buradaki deri eldiven veya spor eldiven ithalatçılarının bilgisinin sağlanması hususunda değerli yardımlarınızı rica edebilir miyiz?
Ben çok teşekkür ediyorum. Özellikle Bilal Bey'in, Samir Bey'in detaylı sunumlarından çok memnun oldum. Çok güzel detaylı bilgiler sundular.
Özür dilerim. Ben tek tek mi çevireyim yine?
Tabii çevir, iyi olur. Tamam.
First of all, I would like to thank you all, and especially Mr. Bilal and Mr. Samir for their detailed presentation.
Bu tabii serbest ticaret anlaşmasının da ben çok önemli olduğunu düşünüyorum. Karşılıklı ticaretimizin artması için bir an önce bu serbest ticaret anlaşmasının imzalanması gerektiğini de altını çizmek istiyorum.
I personally and I strongly believe in free trade agreement should finally come down to the signing level for both countries benefits of in trade.
Bu deri konusunda tabii bizim ticaret odasında deriyle ilgili bir komitemiz var. Deri sektörüyle ilgili çalışan üyelerden oluşan bir komitemiz var. Ticaret anlamında, ilişki kurma anlamında diyalog kurdurabiliriz. Ama vergiler konusunda ancak hükümet nezdinde belki bir lobi yapma çalışması gerçekleştirebiliriz. Orada da detaylı bilgiler bize ulaştırılırsa hükümetle de Ticaret Bakanlığı'yla da görüşürüz. Ama sektörel anlamda ilişki kurmak isterlerse arkadaşlarımız o manada bizim burada dericilerle onları bir araya getirme imkanımız var.
And then he says, in leather we have a special committee of our members who are already dealing in leather. And if you're asking about the collaboration in networking, we have the members available, and we can ask the relevant sector committee to arrange. But if you're asking for the additional customs duty on the leather and sports gloves. What we can do is that we can do the lobbying part, or we can have meetings with Ministry of Trade, and we can find ways to reach to governments. But if you're only asking for sectorial networks, that we have good amount of number of people.
He has made a very valid point, which is very important. As this is in regard to the support from the industry, from the chamber, in regard to the removal of these duties on our gloves, items, and related items. Insofar as the B2B interaction is concerned, he is very right. Dr. Israfil is very right that mashallah, the Istanbul chamber is the largest chamber of Turkey. I think one of the largest chambers in the whole Europe also, with an overwhelming membership of 600,000 companies. And they have a good network of sectoral companies. So introduction would be made by the respective company, which Mr. Ayaz was mentioning. In fact, we do receive such emails, such requests quite often at our emails. We receive calls also. And with the help of Istanbul Chamber of Commerce, the help of other regional chambers, other associations, we try to arrange a link between the Pakistani exporters and the Turkish buyers or the importers. What we can do because I think this question I was seeing in the chat for other sectors have also been repeated, the same question, but of course with different products. So what we can do, we can have a sectoral webinar or Zoom meetings also, besides our normal facilitation, which we even otherwise provide. Like our normal facilitation is you send us an email, we'll immediately get back to you with the required data. I mean, we'll tell you what is the rate of duty, what are the requirements, and then of course the existing imports of Turkey, who are the other countries which are exporting to Turkey, at what product, at what rates, what is the average unit cost. And then of course, if there is any prospect of Pakistani product, we will also mention that. But besides that, we can also arrange, if there's a good demand from one sector, we can arrange their sectoral virtual, let's say, trade delegation or seminar, like Dr. Israfil was mentioning, inshallah, in the next few days on 19th January, Istanbul Chamber and Employers Federation of Pakistan, EFP, they will be holding a webinar on the bilateral cooperation in the mines, minerals sector, which is very important and which holds immense potential for both the countries. So we will continue to do this. And in fact, the commercial section, we have planned a webinar with Turkish Medical Devices Association. Inshallah, in the coming few weeks, we will be having this webinar with the Sialkot Chamber, with the Simtel, with the CMAP and the related associations. So we'll continue to work towards this developing of linkages between the companies of Pakistan and Turkey. So please keep us informed. Shoot any email to us, involve your regional TDAP office. TDAP is a very good source, and they do have a lot of database available, and they are of course in contact with us by using of latest means of technology through messages, through Zoom meetings also. Next question.
Ben bu arada bir teşekkür daha yapabilir miyim Tuna Hanım? Şunu ifade etmek istiyorum. İstanbul Ticaret Odası, Pakistanlı ticaret adamlarının da, arkadaşlarımızın da odası olduğunu bilsinler. Yani burada bir ticaret odası olarak bizim onları da temsil ettiğimizi, bunu açık yüreklilikle ifade ediyorum. Herhangi bir soruda, herhangi bir ilişkide her zaman burası her türlü imkanıyla Pakistanlı kardeşlerimize açık. Yeter ki daha işlerimizi yükseltecek zeminler oluşturalım. Bunlar şu anda pandemi nedeniyle çok sıkıntıdayız. Ama inşallah bunu Zoom programlarıyla, bu tür webinarlar üzerinden yapalım. Ama daha sonra da Allah nasip eder, bu sıkıntılı dönem geçtiği zaman beraber yüz yüze ilişkilerimizi sürdürmek arzusundayız. Yani İstanbul Ticaret Odası da Pakistan Ticaret Odası gibi değerlendirebilir kardeşlerimiz. Yani burada ben de kendi adıma, şahsım adına da başkan yardımcısı olarak Pakistanları çok sevdiğimi ifade etmek istiyorum. Türkiye ile Pakistan'ı ayırmıyoruz. İslamabad'la Ankara'yı, İstanbul'la Lahor'u hep birlikte düşünüyoruz. O yüzden kardeşlerimizi burada görmek istediğimizi belirtmek istiyorum. Biraz uzun oldu artık sen çok
Not
başarılı.
aldım.
Çok teşekkür ediyorum sana.
Rica ederim. He would like to add a few notes. He says, first of all, I would like to inform you that Istanbul Chamber of
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce of Istanbul is your chamber for Pakistani businessmen. Don't think that this is a Turkish businessmen association. It's at the same time a Pakistani businessmen association. We are representing them as well. In any kind of inquiry which you have, we are always available with all our resources available. And he says what we want deeply from our heart is to have trade. This is our first priority. And we are in an intention to have many more collaborations and opportunities to have trade connections. In the period of pandemic, we all are having the difficulties, as you also are aware of it, but we can have our delegations virtually. And once we are over with this pandemic, we can still continue our work face to face also. You can think ITO, which stands for Chamber of Commerce of Istanbul, as like a PTO, Pakistan Chamber of Commerce. And I personally would like to add, as a vice president of the chamber, that I personally like Pakistani people. And you can consider Islamabad as Ankara, and Istanbul as Lahore. So we all share the same feelings.
Next question, Yasser.
The next question is what the Kashif Saab is asking the Dr. Israfil that what is the prospect of Pakistani furniture in metal and wood in Turkey? So, Dr. Israfil sir, can you please elaborate on it?
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear the question. Can you please repeat it, Mr. Ayaz?
What are the prospects of Pakistan furniture in metal and wood in Turkey?
Okay. 1 minute, please. İsrafil Bey, şunu sormak isterler. Sanırım Kaşif soruyor bu soruyu da. Pakistan mobilyasının Türkiye'de tutunma olasılığı nedir sizce? Yani nasıl görülür diye sorar.
Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Aslında şöyle bir tabii durumumuz var. İki kardeş ülke olarak benzer ürünleri iyi ve kaliteli üretiyoruz. O biraz iş yapmamızı da aslında bir parça engelliyor. Türkiye'de de mobilya sektörü çok güçlü. İhracatta da çok başarılı. Ama hangi alanlarda mobilyanın hangi alanı var? Ev mobilyası mı acaba? Büro mobilyası mı? Hangi alanlarda ihtiyaç var? Şu anda çok detaylarını bilmiyorum ama ihracat yapanlarda ithalat yapan mobilyacılar da bizim üyemiz. Onlardan ilgili bir sektörümüz de var. Eğer özel bir şey olursa, ilişki kurulmak istenirse ilişki kuracak firmalarla arkadaşlarımızı irtibatlandırırız.
I want to express that since both brotherly countries are producing almost the same items in a good way, in a good quality, that's the reason we don't have a mutual kind of trade, because it's a kind of a competing situation. And the furniture sector is reasonably very powerful in Turkey as well. He says not knowing in details, but what type of furniture we are talking about. Is it a kind of house furniture, office furniture, in which field we are talking? He says we are both exporting and importing companies within our organization. So if the frame of the question can be defined, then we will be more accurate to reply.
And I would like to just add to this question by Kashif Saab. Kashif, if you can give us the exact details, I mean the HS codes of your furniture, like for wooden furniture, honestly, we don't find enough potential. There is a demand for our niche furniture product, like for the dining rooms, for the living room, but unfortunately the duty is so high that it is not commercially viable. But for metal furniture, we can surely look into that, and we can come up with the relevant details. So please do send us your inquiry, and we'll respond at that. Next question.
One last question, it is related to the investment. Sir, they are asking about if there is any Turkish company who is making solid waste to energy plant operation or manufacturing the plant. They want to invest in Pakistan for JV, as a JV partner or as a sole investment purpose. So they wanted to ask for the potential of these specific companies. So can you please, Bilal sir, can you please elaborate on it?
Okay. Of course, our discussion today was primarily focused on the Pakistani exports, and intentionally I did not touch upon the investment chapter or anything in regard to investment. But this is a good question. There is already a company, Turkish company. It's a very renowned Turkish business group, Zorlu Group, one of the top 5 business groups of Turkey. So, in fact, that Zorlu Group was the pioneer in wind energy in the Sindh back in 2007-8, and they still are continuing not only in wind energy but also now for the solar energy also. Their investment is already in the pipeline for the expansion of their wind energy projects in Sindh and for the establishment of solar energy at Qaid-e-Azam Park in Bahawalpur. Of course, there is an appetite for in this particular sector. There were few issues of the relevant companies, of the relevant Turkish companies in Pakistan, which unfortunately has created some sort of impasse. But the last few months, there has been a very rapid and significant progress in terms of energy sector related issues. Be it the determination of tariff, be it the finalization of negotiation with IPPs. I'm sure this will send positive signals to the Turkish investors. And once this process is completed back home at the government of Pakistan level, we are planning to have an investment roadshow maybe in the second quarter of next year, second quarter of this year. For attracting investment in this particular area and taking advantage of this question. In fact, we are also focusing on, basically our focus is more on introducing Turkish investment in the manufacturing sector in Pakistan, especially in the engineering sectors, in the chemical sectors, and the pharmaceutical sectors. So these are the 3 sectors which we have identified. And the services, we are focusing more on the IT and in the tourism services. So you might be, inshallah, in the next 3-4 months, you might be seeing a lot of activities in these 5 identified sectors: engineering, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals, and then energy, tourism, and IT. Next question.
This was the last question that was related. So I think that will be the end of our webinar. For the closing remarks, I will invite Mr. Bilal Khan to give his closing remarks on the webinar. Sir,
my closing remarks. No, very grateful to all the participants, especially now I think the window is limited, but I see Ijaz Khokhar Saab also. He's our business giant, and sir, I salute you from here. The efforts which he has been made, and in fact, it's courtesy Ijaz Khokhar Saab, I was introduced to many good Turkish businessmen in the textiles and ready-made garment sector in Turkey. And in fact, due to his intervention, I made some very good contacts. So I'm very happy and delighted that we had a very good participation. I also see Mr. Khalid Joya somewhere. Yeah, he's also there. So he has been a good source for us in Turkey. He is a well-established businessman for the last 30 years now in Istanbul, and he has been a very good helping hand. So it's basically, I mean, my concluding remarks is basically it's just one sentence. It's basically the networking. We at the consulate can only help you to introduce to the people over here. And this is our, I'm not a technical person. I'm not, in a hardcore terms, I'm not a salesman. But of course, I am a marketer. I would try to introduce your items, your products in the Turkish market. I would try to introduce good Turkish items in our markets. Like I mentioned in my presentation, there are many products from Turkey which have replaced the Indian products, especially in the iron and steel sector, in the pharmaceutical sector, in the prefab structure sector. So you would in the future you would see a lot of Turkish iron and steel products, even maybe those towers. And now with this ML1 thing, this under this CTEC, we might be witnessing, inshallah, some project in regard to iron and this steel industry, a joint collaboration between Turkey and Pakistani companies. We have received some interest also from two Pakistani companies. But having said that, Secretary TDAP raised a very important point, and that was the ECO, the collaboration under the Economic Cooperation Organization. Turkey is just Iran's, I mean, we are neighbor's neighbor. I mean, Pakistan, Iran, and Turkey. We need to explore that corridor. We need to take advantage of that freight cargo train. We need to take advantage of the road transport network. There is not even a single TIR company registered, Turkish company in Pakistan, and likewise, not even a single Pakistani TIR company registered in Turkey. Turkey could act. I mean, you must have seen in the press the cargo train, the freight train, which has left Istanbul for the easternmost province of China in just under 13 days. Imagine from Istanbul to that corner of China in 13 days. And it carried around 35 containers of washing machines and some electronic home appliances. If Turkey and China can do that, why not Pakistan and Iran? Why not Pakistan and Turkey can't do that? And of course, during this process, we'll be increasing our exports to Iran, to Azerbaijan, to Iraq, Iran, to Iraq and Syria also. So it's a very good base station, Turkey, and I would urge our businessmen to please explore Turkey, not only from the point of view of the Turkish market, but also from the point of view of the regional market, even Ukraine, even Central Asian republics, even Georgia, even Azerbaijan, Bulgaria, East European countries. So it offers a very good effective, scenario for the developing of our exports. One last point which I would also like to highlight is that there are many companies available in Turkey right now which are undergoing restructuring process. They enjoy good brands. We do require some Pakistani manufacturers or exporters who can, let's say, take advantage of the selling out of those companies, and from taking base as Turkey, and then of course exporting their items and products to Europe and to other destinations. One of the questions I think which was asked previously is, and by Samir also, he made a very pertinent mention of why surgical instruments of just few $1 million from Pakistan, whereas our exports, overall exports of surgical instruments are more than $250 million. So why just $2 and $3 million to Turkey? So Samir Saab, the answer to your question is that, in fact, our items first go to Germany. They get that CE marking, get that marca, and then are re-exported to Turkey. And in fact, this is one area where we are advising a lot of Turkish companies and some Pakistani companies to join hands. But the only issue is this CE marking. So if we have in our participants, Mr. Kad, the representative of PSQCA, I would like to ask him if he can identify himself and he can share something. But let me tell you that PSQCA and TSE, Turkish Standard Institute, have agreed to harmonize standards for at least 6 product categories: surgical instruments, leather, certain textile items, uh, uh, three products of auto parts, and two more items. So, in fact, this focus on surgical instruments is beneficial. Why? Because Turkey is very good in electromedical equipment. We are very good in surgical instruments. So let's have this intra-industry trade. We import these, we develop this import and develop technology to have this electromedical equipment. And then, of course, Turkey is almost 100% dependent on the import of surgical instruments. So if you see in the surgical instruments imports, you would see 200 or 250 million dollars of imports coming from Germany. Basically, that 110 million or 120 million will be basically coming first from Pakistan to Germany and to Turkey. So in fact, there are many areas I can go on and on, but the message is we need to explore more. We need to engage ourselves more. Israfil Bey has offered us his own chamber, his services, and Istanbul chamber is the power engine of the whole Turkish economy. And we should take advantage of his very good offer and his very good network also. So with that, I would again thank TDAP for organizing this webinar, and I hope this is not the first and the last. This should be the first of the many which we should have in this year. And this was a general webinar. I would request if we can have product-specific webinars also in this year. Thank you very much.
In the end, I would like to extend my gratitude to all of the participants. I hope that today's webinar has increased the awareness among the exporters and the importers. In the end, I would like to add that if anyone misses some important points, they can access the recorded video from the YouTube channel, and they can also email to TDAP at my email address or at the Bilal Khan email address. We will share the material, the presentations, if anyone would like to ask for it. So in the end, I would like to thank you for all of the participants for attending today's webinar, and I hope we have learned a lot about today's webinar. So thank you all of you. Thank you so much, sir.
Shukran, Israfil Bey. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.